My name is Dawn Halliburton-Rudy, and I'm the co-chair of Together for Colorado Springs. Indivisible and justice for all. The essence of these words are meant to ensure that our nation, our communities remain undivided, that we are united on all fronts. A free press is a vehicle of sorts that carries the expression of a vibrant democracy. It is an indispensable tool that acts as an operative of self-governance in our democratic society. It enables people to obtain information from a variety of sources, make decisions, and communicate those decisions to the government. It should be a marketplace of ideas that reflect our multi-dimensional, multifaceted community, neighborhoods, and yes, our political landscape. Just as people generally believe in free markets and economic matters, they generally believe in free markets when it comes to ideas, and this includes politics. The press is a means of people power, through which the people may ferret out corruption and discourage tyrannical excesses. For any candidate running, media attention matters. It can influence how the public as a whole views one candidate over another. News reporting has become less objective and has become increasingly more subjective. It is through this subjectivity that our democracy appears to erode. As more and more newspapers offer over-coverage to one candidate, we have implicitly been directed to turn our attention to this one candidate over the other. Name recognition alone can drive the course of an election. Unfortunately, the Gazette's growing political schisms seem to be driving polarization within our community. We know there's a relationship between selective exposure and the growing divide in political attitudes in our city. And that gap is clearly related to partisan media sources, such as the Gazette. The reporters continue to perpetrate biased views by distilling complex campaigns and issues into simplified scripts. The Gazette even extends itself to create character-based scripts to further offer undue influence in our local elections. This is the bad woman who wants to clean up our environment, and you may be slightly inconvenienced. This is the good guy, because he wants to shrink government, even if it is to the expense of the most vulnerable in this city. Visual communication has proven to be just as powerful. Pictures convey emotions, actions, realism, and credibility. They form lasting impressions in the mind of the voting public. The photos the Gazette has chosen to use to support their character-based scripts can also influence voter perception and reveal their obvious bias to support far right-of-center candidates in almost all of our local elections. Fact-checking, now in vogue in most media rooms, seems to now be out of fashion in the newsrooms of the Gazette. Because when you only present one side of an argument or political issue and actively shut the opposite voice out, they have effectively stated that facts don't matter. This is not good journalism, and it is destructive to the fabric of our community. A divided community cannot succeed. The Gazette has a responsibility to reflect the ideas, all ideas, in our multifaceted community and present them in an honest, complete way. We will no longer accept the Gazette's subversive, divisive, and dishonest reporting style. We will continue to call them to the carpet each time they act in a less than stellar manner or attempts to flagrantly bias any more of our local elections. We are their watchdog. Thank you.
I stand here today as a private citizen and taxpayer. I represent no one but myself, but I am concerned. In recent weeks, Richard Scorman has been criticized by the Gazette in its editorial pages as an advocate of higher taxes. Over 2 decades ago, myriad community leaders joined with Richard Scorman to create a funding mechanism for the preservation of our most precious city assets, trails and open space. I was one of them. So, when we cut through the haze of cleverly written editorials and hit piece advertising, we see clearly that the real reason that Richard Scorman, City Councilwoman Jill Gabler, and City Councilwoman Helen Collins are being targeted is because they had the courage to speak out against the Broadmoor land swap and the commercial exploitation of public parkland. They are being punished for having the temerity to represent their constituents. Based on this issue alone, I will continue to support, in every way I can, a strong, independent, and fair press. And I will continue to support Richard Scorman, Jill Gabler, and Helen Collins as strong community leaders in this nonpartisan election. Please join me in sending a strong message on Election Day and return Scorman, Gabler, and Collins to Colorado Springs City Council. Thank you.
Like Jim, I represent nobody but myself, and a little bit unlike Jim, I'm not here to speak to any particular candidate or any particular issue. I would like to talk to the issue of a community-based organization and a community-based newspaper and their support for what they should do for the community. You know, when Jim was on County Commission and I was on City Council, we didn't always agree. There's probably an understatement, right, Jim? But we respected each other's opinions, and we felt it was important for the community to hear both of our opinions on a particular issue, because that way the community could decide for themselves how they wanted to go. And I think that's what we see lacking in the city right now, is we see a lacking of a diversity of those opinions and a lacking of the sharing of information. The Gazette, like any newspaper, is certainly entitled to its opinions, and certainly entitled as a member of the community. Matter of fact, I would argue they have an obligation, a commitment to express their beliefs on what they feel the direction of our community should be. But at the same time, they have an obligation and a commitment to the community to allow other voices to be heard, so that the voters can make a good, informed decision based on all of the information and all of the facts, not just a one-sided point of view. This is especially true now, because I have to tell you, in the history that I have watched Colorado Springs and Colorado Springs government, I have never, up until now, seen this disgusting issue of dark money enter our local politics, but it has now. And with that disgusting dark money, we're seeing alternative facts. And I think it's incumbent on the newspaper to point out when those facts are wrong and to allow other opinions and other viewpoints to be heard to counter those. So we would request from the Gazette that you allow for the free flow of information, you allow all that information to come forward, and you allow the citizens of this community to make the best informed decision they can based on all the information. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's no more importance to your council as fair and impartial information. I just received the following letter from Jeff Norton, Pikes Peak Pickleball Association. Dear City Council members, in case you did not see how the Gazette selectively edited our Pikes Peak Pickleball Association's response to the previous Sunday's Gazette editorial board fact-limited opinion piece, here's the original PPA submission to the editor, including what was cut out of this morning's Your Viewpoint op-ed section of the Gazette. It appears our association's complete viewpoint does not count when it comes to giving City Council, Parks and Recs, and the War Committee appropriate credit for doing the right thing with taxpayer funding. Nevertheless, we certainly appreciate your support in our nonprofit's mission to serve and benefit our local community. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is more than political issues. These are economic issues that they're distorting for another end state. So I think you need to review and hold the Gazette accountable for all the information and just not selectively editing what's available for them for you to read. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today. Thank you for hearing this very important cause. I know that Scott had mentioned alternative facts. I will offer this. There's no such thing in news reporting. It's called lies. We want the facts. We want both sides presented, and those are some of our demands. Thank you for coming out.